In the latest episode of the new Berserk Memorial Edition Golden Age arc, we are pleasantly presented with a scene that was originally missing from the movies. Now, as a huge fan of the manga itself, I found it interesting that they were even excluding this scene in the first place, but it is without a doubt a great treat for ongoing anime watchers and fans of the movie and the original anime. So let's take a look at the scene. Throughout the entirety of this scene, we're introduced to various interactions between characters as well as a beautifully animated display of campfires drawn similarly to fireflies. And this is important to note, as the scene itself is a metaphor for what the entire arc is about: the pursuit of dreams. This scene greatly summarizes the importance of dreams, but also the fallibility of them. Throughout the entirety of the scene itself, we're given a chance to assess each dream that is being discussed, especially in the segment where Guts is listing out the dreams of his comrades, and how hopeful, pure, and enchanting they are to discuss and converse about. The fact that while he is doing this, there is an entire display of beautiful lights and scenery, almost alluding to the fact that this fantastical aspect of the unrealistic expectations of dreams, and how easily it is to just envision some utopian outcome and not assess the suffering it will take to achieve it. And as we continue throughout the scene, we also realize something. That talk about the fire of people's dreams being ignited by casting it into a giant flame symbolizes Griffith. Griffith is the so-called chosen one that will lead everyone's dream to reality due to his immense dream and passion himself. Yet, obviously, we realize eventually that this was the greatest mistake ever made by everyone. Because though Griffith is an extremely strong force, he is not just a force, but one that is fueled by selfish desire, greed for power, and complete apathy. And that is where dreams of others are used as sacrificial fuel for Griffith's own great dream. And Guts and Casca discuss this. Yet, what's also interesting enough is the fact that this entire scene can be seen as a precursor of the eclipse itself. We witness a specific freeze frame where we notice that the only two characters that are not overwhelmed by the campfire are Guts and Casca only, seemingly foreshadowing the fact that they themselves are the only ones that are outside of Griffith's immense influence and control, which may also indicate a reasoning behind why they were the only survivors of the eclipse. And my theory is that this is due to Guts himself. Through this segment, we're reminded of the fact that Guts himself has retained his individuality. He has not cast his own purposes and individual self away into the inferno of Griffith, but has in fact allowed others' dedication to Griffith to awaken the desire in himself to find his own personal individualistic desire for purpose instead of just surviving through battle. He has acknowledged his crux, his sword, of his being and grown beyond his one-dimensional reason to fight, which is to only survive. Assessing that as long as he has his weapon, he will always have something to rely on and will never truly need to cast another being for higher purpose. And I believe that this is also why he was spared from the eclipse. His inner desire to maintain his own path of loneliness and suffering is what differentiated him from everyone else in the series. And the reason that Casca was also barely spared was probably due in part to Guts' powerful influence bleeding into hers throughout their various interactions. And what makes it so interesting is the fact that this scene itself almost definitely reinforces Guts as the destined savior of the world, not Griffith. I truly think that the intention of Guts being such an individually driven character is due to the fact that he is capable of retaining his identity, his will, his drive, and his purity, whereas other characters including Griffith has despicably and cowardly given up something of themselves to higher powers and or external influences. We see that everyone has planted their dreams within Griffith, and Griffith has in turn sacrificed these dreams as well as his own humanity for a sliver of demonic unworldly power. And we see the opposite with Guts. We see him gain power through immense suffering of loss, pain and turmoil in the form of his beast of darkness. We see him gain power through physically wielding a giant iron sword as well as the physical damages cast onto him via the Berserker armor. All these tools and gifts we see Guts acquire, he has achieved them through sheer raw effort, but he has never once given up his morality, purpose, drive, and individuality to achieve them. And I think this is crucially important to what lies ahead in this story.